you are an agency owner, this video is for you. And this video is to review the advantages and disadvantages of working with a white label agency, whether it be for paid ads, SEO, or content. I have grown a 7+ figure agency over the last 5 years. I have had in-house employees. I've had third-party contractors. Here's what I found. First off, the advantages are certainly going to be the cost. It's going to be brand control and access to advanced tools and reporting. So let's review cost, for instance. If you're gonna hire anyone in the United States, you're gonna have to pay them at least $50,000 a year if you want good talent. That's just how it goes. You're not gonna find great talent for less than $50,000 per year, I promise you that. So $50,000 per year really works itself out to be like $62,000 to $65,000 a year after all those other fees for employment, like employment tax and unemployment, Medicare, state unemployment taxes, and other costs. So like I said, your $50,000 a year is really like a $62,000 to $65,000 a year employee, which works itself out to be around $5,000 per month. So with your $5,000 per month, you're typically not gonna onboard them with a bunch of clients right out of the gate. That's normally not how it works. Normally, when you hire an employee, they slowly get eased into the position. And so most employees start out to be not profitable for the business. Most of the time, the business owner has to go out of pocket to pay for that employee. And then over time, as that employee is able to, say, manage more clients, they're able to generate a better return on that investment in that employee. Whereas if you worked with a white label agency, you can, right out of the gate, be able to just pay for the work that's being done. And it might not cost $5,000 per month. It might cost more like $500 to maybe $1,000 per month per client. It's a little bit clearer in the beginning, a little bit more cost effective to go with a white label agency right out of the gate than it would be to hire someone in-house. Also, when hiring someone in-house, you typically have to create a good environment for them. You have to give paid time off. You have to provide benefits and bonuses. And you gotta make it a good place for people to want to work for you. Otherwise, they're not gonna stay with you. That's obviously not needed when you were working with a white label agency. A white label agency doesn't care about what your company culture is before they start working with you. They don't care if you've given them Christmas bonuses or anything like that. If your client cancels, and clients cancel in the digital marketing space, that's just part of the game, you can't just fire your employee. Not only are people not going to want to work with you if you fire them or have a track record of firing people when clients cancel, but it could also open up a host of legal issues for you, like paying unemployment and back pay and all that type of stuff. So when working with a white label agency, if your client cancels, you just let them know, hey, my client canceled. Once you meet your minimum commitment with them, you can get out of their agreement. So that's pretty much it for the cost side of things. It's typically more cost effective. One thing that I also found too is when I first started my agency, between like $0 and $20,000 per month, I typically found that my profit margin was like 75% plus. My profit margin was awesome. And then between, let's say, $20,000 and $60,000 per month, my profit margin got less. Instead of it being 75%, it's maybe closer to 50%. And then anything over $100,000, I am struggling to keep it over 25%. So as time goes on, when you have employees, your profit margin on the work gets less and less over time. You make up with it in volume, but if you were to work with a white label agency, if you have your margins right, like if you charge $1,000 for a service that you're white labeling for $500, you can maintain a 50% profit margin for as long as that white label agency is able to provide that service. So you won't experience that shift over time, and as you grow, get a lower profit margin. Number 2 is immediate access to expertise. It took me years to build a fulfillment team that delivers great quality work at a great cost. So that's normally not something that happens immediately when you hire an employee. It took me not only just a lot of hiring, but also a lot of firing, a lot of interviews, a lot of research, a lot of trial, a lot of error. And I'm, let's call it 5-6 years into the process now, but it took me a solid 3 to 4 years to put together a solid team. So yeah, expect to spend a lot of time and resources just testing things out if you want to hire and build up a team versus hiring a white label agency. It might be a lot easier for you to just work with a team that's been around for a while, that has already gone through the hiring and the firing process to find experts. Also faster turnaround times because they're used to meeting client deadlines. Number 3, so brand control. That's always something that agencies consider when working with a white label agency is, hey, am I going to be able to maintain my brand control? Most white label agencies provide a white label fulfillment. They work in the background. It's super easy for them to preserve the anonymity of the business because they're not communicating communicating directly with clients. There's even other white label agencies that do provide white label account management as well. You make them an agency email and they'll even communicate with the clients. So if you're worried about brand control, I could tell you with confidence, having both employees and have worked with third-party white label companies, that there's typically no problem with them being able to do everything an employee would be able to do to preserve the anonymity of the business and maintain the brand control. Number 4 is access to tools and reporting. And you don't think about this unless you look at your profit and loss statement, but I spend thousands of dollars per month on things like Zapier and integrations for reporting softwares, SCM Rush, my go high level and CRM fees. So if you're a small agency or if you're just getting into this, it's certainly more worth it for you to work with an agency that is already servicing hundreds of clients and have justified that investment into buying those tools than it would be for you to go out of pocket to pay for these tools. A lot of these, like I said, these tools could cost thousands of dollars per month. So if you're not having thousands of dollars coming back in profit, then it's not worth it for you to invest in these tools in the very beginning. So working with a white label agency can give you access to advanced tools and reporting. And then I would say the disadvantages of working with a white label company are less control and dependency on the provider. So less control is you're not going to be able to treat a third-party company like you treat an employee. You're not going to be able to, let's just say, call someone in your office really quick and get them to do a last-minute task. It's just not going to happen with a third-party company. A lot of third-party companies are very quick to reply and they offer great customer support, but when working with an employee and working with a third-party company, there's just a different level of control. If you're a control freak, that's going to bother you, but if you're the type of business owner that can trust experts to execute tasks, then it's going to be no problem. And I actually found that the most successful agencies that I know are ones that know how to delegate and know how to put people in control that get things done. So less control and then dependency on the provider. So you really want to choose your white label agency if you're going to work with one carefully. You want to make sure that you're working with one that's been around for a while, that has a great reputation, that delivers good quality service and customer service, because you are at their beck and call. If they decide to raise prices or change processes or stop offering certain services, and you have built processes around building your business on top of their business, you may be relying on them or dependent on them on how they ship their business to operate your business. If you have, like I said, a reliable white label agency, it's normally not a problem, but if you have a fly-by-night white label agency that hasn't been around for a while, doesn't have a great reputation, that could certainly be something of caution, because you don't want to work with a company and be fully dependent on someone that's not reliable. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of white labeling. If you're an agency owner, try to decide between each of these and you got some questions, leave us a comment below.